My mom wants me to impersonate my twin sister on her wedding day after a tragic accident, and now I'm being guilt-tripped for saying no to her insane plan, plus an update. I am a 30-year-old female, and I have an identical twin sister who I'll call Jess for this story. Jess and I look so much alike it can be freaky. At one point when we were still infants, our parents had to draw a little dot at the bottom of one of our feet, just so they could keep track of who was who for medical reasons. My mom adored the fact that Jess and I were her cute baby twin girls and treated us as precious dolls who she would frequently dress alike and always make us do things together. At first, I didn't mind it at all because, well, it was my normal and I do genuinely love my sister. But when we started getting older and I developed my own interests, I would get so frustrated or upset when I either couldn't do something because Jess didn't want to, or the only way that I could do it was if Jess came with me, and vice versa. It sucked because despite our appearances, Jess was the more extroverted twin who liked to go to parties and do sports, while I was introverted and artistic. I was always made to do what Jess wanted to do because me not wanting to be so social was seen as bad. The only way that Jess would agree to endure my hobbies was if I did her homework or chores. When my parents were divorcing, I was over the moon when my dad agreed to let me live with him in another state, and Jess didn't want to move away from all her friends. My mom cried when I had to tell her I didn't want to live with her, and Jess accused me of hating them. This really wrecked me emotionally and I almost caved, but my dad got me into therapy, which helped me gather the courage to just leave. I never really did shake off the guilt until around my senior year of high school, but I never once regretted my choice because of how liberating I felt by getting to just be me. I was slowly able to repair my relationship with my mom and Jess, but Jess and I were never as close as we used to be, and I was honestly fine with that. Fast forward to adulthood. Jess is engaged to her boyfriend Steve, who is 36, and their wedding is set for this spring. Unfortunately, Jess was recently in a bad accident, and her face is going to need cosmetic surgery. She has been crying on and off for days over this because there's no way she'll be healed up in time for the wedding. My mom, Steve, and I have been trying to console her, but it's not enough. Earlier this week, my mom approached me with the idea of dressing up as Jess and pretending to be her for the ceremony and reception so the pictures will look nice. I was floored and gave a hesitant no. While I do know that this would mean a lot to my sister, I just feel really uncomfortable about it. My mom was upset with me and said that it wasn't a big deal, it was just for the pictures. She asked me if I really wanted to make it so that Jess would have to be reminded of her trauma whenever she had to look at her wedding photos or just not have any photos at all. Am I the asshole? I also wanted to clarify a few things. First, Jess and Steve's wedding is booked at their dream venue. If they postpone, which is only about 3 weeks away, they won't be able to book it again until around 2025. And families on both sides are coming in from out of state. Second, between the wedding costs and needing to save up for the cosmetic surgery, Steve and Jess don't have the money to pay for professional Photoshop. Third, we live in America, and as far as I know, since Jess' surgery is purely for cosmetic purposes, health insurance may not cover it, if it covers any of it at all. Finally, my mom was the only one who actually approached me about this. I don't know for sure if Jess and Steve even know about this idea, and I'm honestly a little scared of actually talking to them about this in case they're on board and start to pressure me into agreeing. I should also clarify what my mom was actually proposing. She wanted me to wear Jess's wedding dress, and Jess would wear whatever I was going to wear. Then I would just stand in for her when it was time to walk down the aisle, do the entrance at the reception, the first dance, the bouquet toss, and all the photos. I wouldn't actually be doing the vows. Update. Thanks for all your advice and suggestions, as well as the affirmation that I have the right to say no. I'm still dealing with some residual guilt about refusing to do things for my mom, so I reached out to Steve first about suggesting Photoshop. It turns out he and Jess were already considering that before deciding to just postpone the wedding. Jess is dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder from the accident and doesn't believe that she is going to be able to handle the stress of a wedding in 3 weeks. I was so relieved, and I told Steve that I would be more than happy to help with getting the word out to people that the wedding wasn't happening right now. For the sake of peace and Jess' mental health, I've decided to keep what my mom said about using me as a replacement for the wedding photos to myself for now. Jess is really going through a lot, and I feel like this would be like rubbing salt in the wound.